Okay, I believe we are live. We dropped Erica off for a second. With the ripple effect, and Erica, who's my esteemed co-host, is here, and we have a fun show for you today. We have really what I'm calling the event of the year, or at least the first 6 months of the year in Oakland, which is the screening of a kind of a hidden treasure about Oakland's history and the community. It's called Evolutionary Blues, and it's this great documentary movie that's going to be screening at the Grand Lake Theater just next week on the 24th at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5, and we still have a lot of plenty of tickets to sell. We'll put the Eventbrite link. And today we have the filmmaker with us, Cheryl Fabio, and we're making a big push to sell this event out. And we're just excited to hear from Cheryl about putting this movie together. It was actually originally released in 2017, but I hadn't heard about it. So this is kind of not a re-release, but it's a re-screening of it, and it's doesn't get any better than the Grand Lake Theater in Lake Merritt, Oakland. And with that, I just want to ask my co-host Erica to introduce herself and do a quick check-in before we do get to Cheryl.
Hi, so great to be with you, David. And welcome, Cheryl. We're excited to hear about your upcoming screening. It's a screening, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That is so exciting. How awesome. I live 10 minutes from there, so I would definitely share with people, and just so excited to hear from you.
We'll walk on over to the theater. I love the Grand Lake Theater. I love it not only because it's big and historic, but it's just such a comfortable place to be. It's so full of memories and stuff.
Totally. It is such an interesting place. I know the owner, he does also this auction over in Alameda, and I got to be part of an auction. A couple years ago, we did something with it with this sober living nonprofit, and it was really, really cool how they let us be there and display our vertical gardens that you see like behind me.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, lovely.
it was like a fundraiser for them, and it was just really cool. Yeah, so we have some juicy questions for you today.
All right.
I was going to do just a quick check-in, Erica, to make you proud. I'm continue to stick to my program, and I got to get some more capsules soon, but
Yeah,
I'm starting to kind of not recognize myself in somewhere where I'm getting trimmer and I'm feeling a lot better. So I'm excited to really maybe hit that triathlon circuit at some point or the biathlon once we get the swimming in. So yeah.
I'm going to hold you to it. That's exciting.
Yeah. We got to talk about that Oakland run. I could do that 5K, maybe the 10K. We'll see.
Maybe a triathlon camp is in your future.
Fun stuff. With that, we already introduced Cheryl a little bit, but let's hear from her. Cheryl, if you don't mind telling us who you are and what this movie's about.
Hey, this is my favorite part, right? Like sum yourself up in 3 sentences. So let me see if I can do that. I am from East Oakland. My family moved here in the 50s. And I became a filmmaker, and I'm now living back in East Oakland. I used to work at KTUP, the City of Oakland's government channel. And I don't know if you know about them, but they kind of at the time I worked there, they told stories of Oakland communities. I think since this pandemic, it's a little different. But after I left and years later, they told me that they were looking to do a film about West Oakland. Would I be interested? And I said, yep, because I love doing things where I really get to tunnel in and focus on, African-American communities. Anyway, we started this journey on this film, and it just blossomed and grew into, it was blossoming because of the people who got involved. And as people got involved, we really had a community outpouring towards making this project, telling the story about not only the music, but also the history of the community and bringing that to light. So I think we all kind of intuitively know that there's something special going on in West Oakland, at least there was. And but this was an opportunity to actually describe what that specialness is. And so we are using sort of the, well, in my head, we're sort of using this story about this musical evolution that is the result of the Great Migration of African Americans. I hear some people say 6 million, other people say 8 million people from the Jim Crow South into, we always hear about Chicago and New York, but this time we're also talking about California and the West Coast. So it's a fascinating story. The name of the film is actually Evolutionary Blues, West Oakland's Music Legacy. And, you know, that second part is really important because West Oakland did a lot in terms of a shift in the music world, and really Oakland doesn't get much credit, doesn't get much acknowledgement for that. So we're proudly saying, okay, pay attention. You know, this is what happened in that music world, and this is why it's important. So that's what the film is trying to do.
Great. And I just love this as a kind of a case study, and really the community synergy of combining so many elements, how to produce the film, you connected all these musicians. Then when you screen the film, you had community members, musicians, and I think show up so everybody can meet each other and really just celebrate this rich legacy that's West Oakland and the music scene. And, you know, some of the earliest memories I have of in my early adulthood of Oakland was coming down to go to blues clubs and jazz shows down here. So it's such a important history that people wouldn't know about. And I think maybe we'll see a renaissance in certain areas in the music scene, or it's just changed. But I think it really starts with knowing our history and knowing what's kind of been possible in the past and what's kind of still possible. And with that, I want to see if Erika had any comments on that film. I just love these kind of the stories are so powerful that people have to share.
Yeah, and I believe I saw that our comrade that we interviewed for a third time has a posting about your upcoming film. Is that correct, or that's a different event?
Who's the comrade? I'm
Nancy Williams.
Oh, Nancy. Well, yes, actually. So what you're saying is that the way that this film is coming to the Grand Lake Theater this time around is that the Rotary Club of Oakland is programming it as part of their Black History Month programming. And Nancy has been our connection. She's been really great to work with.
Oh, I'm so glad that she put you in that Money Pages program. And I mean, I saw the graphics. It's beautiful.
She's done great stuff quickly. And, you know, the first time we showed at the Grand Lake Theater, I had to do all that PR stuff. And so when they started talking about it, I said, yeah, you can do this, but it's a lot. And it is a lot, and she's done a lot. And so I'm really hoping that it's a fundraiser for the Rotary Club. And I'm really hoping that, you know, that the community responds to it. And my film isn't the only way to talk about Oakland's history, but it is one way, and an expensive way. It's also, this is a project of the city of Oakland. So the city of Oakland commissioned it, the city of Oakland owns it. But the one thing that Dave said that I really want to emphasize, you know, we say Black History Month. This is all of our history. Like, you know, it's the story about what's happening in a Black community, and that Black community is self-contained, but it's not there in isolation. There's a city around it doing the things that a city does. And whether or not we know that, I mean, whether or not we embrace this notion, you know, what people do affects people. And so this is all of our history. And we need to start thinking about that, especially if you're thinking about the future, then like every action has a reaction. And that's sort of part of the story. I love living in Black communities, the synergy and the, you know, like when I step out of the door, I belong. And yet, I also know that the promise of America is that, you know, we're all supposed to have access and opportunity and all of those other things. A lot of stuff that just hasn't been happening in our community. So the thing about this film, though, I can be kind of dry and, you know, get deep and sad and all of that. But the film is not that. The film is amazing because the musicians that are in it are amazing. They tell wonderful stories. They really do. And, you know, not only do they tell wonderful stories, we sample their music. And so you get almost 70 minutes worth of music in this film. It is a fun way of taking in a bit of history, having a whole lot of fun, and refreshing yourself not only on who was making, you know, how it all evolved, but sort of where it's going. We actually get to about the 40 somethings. We could keep making. There's another couple of generations of musicians, but in 90 minutes you can't tell but so much. But it's a fun film.
I'm so excited to get to see it. I have family visiting from out of town, and I'd love to have them all go. And my nieces are just turning 14 and 18, and my sister. So it'll be a real fun thing to bring them over to and experience your film.
That's perfect. And, you know, I'm the director. So, I mean, I even say a Cheryl Fabio film. The truth is that I love the credits. The credits show there's about 1,000 people that helped us make this film in a way that, you know, had they not contributed, so many moments. We have 4 photographs from this amazing photographer from the 40s and 50s. It has his original photographs in it. It has another amazing contemporary photographer. She's actually an archaeologist, but she had these beautiful blues photographs, Pat Moreno. We start with her photograph. So there's just all these little things that they really tickle. It tickles the fancy, and I get to say, I made it. I made it.
That's so cool. I mean, exactly. That's it. It's a whole team that helped us put this together. And you had the idea. You brought it together.
You know, yes. I mean, I have the charge, but these people my crew that I'm working with, part of my story is that I've been working with them forever because I worked with them at the city of Oakland, and we've kind of done projects and projects. So, you know, we really worked collaboratively, and it's a wonderful collaboration because they know me really well. I know them really well. I can roll my eyes and everyone gets the message, you know. It's a lovely, it was a lovely, lovely collaboration, and it's a good film because of it too.
Awesome. I'm so curious, like, forgive me if I don't know a lot of your background, Cheryl, but the city of Oakland, what is the work that you do with them? And I want to hear about, this is your first film ever, or is this?
No, so I am a filmmaker. I went to, I learned photography at Fisk. A little bit before that, my dad kind of was a novice. And then when I graduated from this historically Black university, I came home and went to Stanford and went to film school. Not because I'd always wanted to be a filmmaker, but because it was an extension of the photography. And I couldn't figure out how to make a living on the kind of photography I do, which is sort of, we called it street photography. But I figured I could make a living making film. Haha, that was kind of naive. But anyway, I went to film school. So in the 70s. So I've been making works all of this time. To do it, I've had to work a million other kinds of jobs. And one of them, in 2000, I got hired by the city of Oakland to be the operations manager of this television channel. And I worked there about 3.5 years. When the economy tanked, I went on. But because of my relationships with folks, you know, if I had something going on and I needed a crew, I might talk to some of the people there. I mean, so we've just maintained a relationship. So I no longer work for the city, but having worked there before, right? Worked there before, you know, I kind of pay attention to the city and a lot, right? I think I'm one of the few people who would come home from work, whatever job it was, and watch K-Top all night long. So I've become sort of a nerd of, for me, it's sort of the public sphere, how it, you know, it's kind of
Mm,
like watching democracy.
mm.
Sometimes I'm laughing then.
So, I
Yes,
mean, for those people who are tuning in and they're not in the know about what
yes.
is FISC and what is this other, just tell us what those stand for so that we can catch up with you because you know so much about, what you're doing and I want to be right there with you.
Okay, well, Fisk is one of the historically Black universities. It's in Nashville, Tennessee. And when I graduated from high school here in California, like literally the next week, I found myself in Nashville. And that experience was so important for my development because when I got to Nashville, I got there early over the summer. I ended up in SNCC. I'm not sure exactly how, so that was the late 60s. And they sent me to Holmes County, Mississippi to do voter registration. So I'm not in the moments that a lot of that television stuff meant. I was right behind it, but it gave me a visceral understanding of what that civil rights movement was about. We're not, and there was drama going on still, but not at the same level as maybe in 65. But I have to say that that experience has formed me. Um, it's formed my artistic interests, my practice. It is the thing when I say street photography. I mean, when I was a young woman in Nashville, I would just, take photographs of Black life. And there's this amazing book, The Sweet Fly Paper of Life. Roy DeCarva wrote. It's photographs, and I think Langston Hughes did the writing in it. And that
Mm.
was sort of the model, right? Like make a sweet fly paper of life. Well, I don't feel like I got that good with it, but again, it's the bedrock of everything I do, and it really does. It is my sensibility. So some people might see me stuck in a genre because I'm not trying to. I mean, I'd love like Evolutionary Blues to be on Netflix. It'll never be on Netflix because it belongs to the city. But my goal isn't Netflix. My goal is to tell a story, and I love it. It's satisfying. I sleep well. I can't wait until I wake up every morning to kind of see where the adventure is or what the next adventure is going to be. So I'm a documentary filmmaker, and the
Wow.
other thing I guess you might be asking about KTOP, which is the government, the city of Oakland's government channel. That's where you watch city council meetings and all the other kind of civic meetings in Oakland. And for a while when I was there, we had a production studio and we did a lot of additional production. I think it's been cut back quite a bit, and it's too bad because, television is expensive, but when you get down to what does it cost to like flyer a community, you're spending your money better on television. So I've always seen it as KTOP as a educational resource.
Mm.
If the city chooses to use it like that. Anyway, so I loved my tenure. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have made this film. And yeah.
Yeah,
Does
no,
that
we'd
get
love
you?
to see some of your other work too. And once we have this film, maybe we can have you back. Some of those photos sound fascinating from when you first got into photography and kind of look at your scrapbook or something. Cause, I'm a photographer too. And I actually first got into video with an interest in documentary filmmaking. And I actually started working on a documentary, but I just didn't finish it. But it kind of honed my interest in film and video to really kind of telling individuals stories, and that's kind of what led me to podcasting and my speaker series, and then these short impactful videos that I do, which are really, because the power of video and film is just without measure. It's like the most powerful medium, but it really takes you can't get there right away. It takes like 10 years to even get something that's going to be more than intermediate. But so that's so good to hear your story about that stuff. And I love the synergy between photography and film too, that it starts with the images and using the images to tell the story and create the feeling. And it's cool to hear that the city of Oakland used to have that department, and that props to them for commissioning this type of film. It's almost like every major city should look at this type of thing to tell the history of their community and the power
We
of
should
that.
do more. We should do more. I looked at almost all of the films I make. If I didn't have photographs, the stories would have these major holes in them. So I'm very aware of, and that's one time when my photography is solid, is when I'm doing it in relation to a film. And I love all kinds of photography. I love studio photography and all of that, but I've never been interested in doing that. And so this really is, it really feels like I found my spot. I found my purpose in, using those two skills in this way.
Yeah. Great.
I'm just so excited for you, Cheryl, and what you've created and what everyone gets to appreciate coming up very soon. Next Friday, not this one, but next one, February 24th. Say it again.
I believe it's
it's a Thursday evening.
It's a Thursday, so the 24th.
So a week from this Thursday, the 24th, and I will put the link to buy tickets on Eventbrite. It's only $14 to go, and Cheryl's actually going to be there. You can meet her, and she's going to answer questions. And, we're going to actually have a group place for group photos and hear more about Rotary Club. I will put that in the comments about, thanks to Oakland Rotary for putting this screening on. And it's actually being paid for by my membership committee with the Oakland Rotary Club too. So, I appreciate the Oakland Rotary leadership, President Dudley, for okaying this event. And I think it's really the event of the first 6 months here in 2022. Erika, so I'm glad you're going to come. And I'm just looking at my notes here, seeing if we have about 5 more minutes, if there's anything else we want to highlight with Cheryl. Erika.
I'm just thinking about filmmakers that might be tuning in to listen to you, Cheryl. Do you have a message for up and coming filmmakers for how to do what they do, and inspiration for them?
One thing Dave said was about starting a film. I mean, I recommend you finish your films. You might shrink the vision, but try and finish them. It's a really great exercise. But the thing that just occurs to me and has occurred to me forever is new filmmakers are often capturing stories that people don't think about. And it's so important. It's important to make that stuff, even if you're not yet at the top of your game. If you think there's a story, tell that story. There's a film that I've been watching. I used to work for Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame here in Oakland, and we would get films from all over the country. And one of the films that I remember was this thing about Oklahoma, the massacre in Oklahoma. And it was a funky little film, but it circulated and circulated and circulated. And I think it's because of that film that there's so much attention now. I think this year was the 100th year anniversary of that massacre. And people know about it. Yeah.
I saw the article in, I think it was New York Times Magazine, maybe?
Yeah. People know about it now. And so the work you do, you just don't know how important it might become. And, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that film didn't have anything to do with it, but it informed my awareness of this situation, and it kept cropping up and it kept reinforming it. So, you know, be stubborn, do what you're going to do. And also, it might be you're not the director. Maybe you change your purpose in the film. I mean, in the world of film. If we don't have media people, then nobody knows about us. So I think that, you know, Dave saying it informed the work he's doing now, like that's huge, right? Because that's
Yeah.
how people come and see films.
I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a little bit like Stone Soup for me, that film that I was working on, and it was very controversial. It's on some of the issues that I'm working on now, but that's why I didn't put it out, because I think it was a little bit too ahead of its time, and I decided to kind of take what I learned from that and, you know, use it for other avenues. And but the thing that's so powerful about it is in making that film, it connects you with so many people and ideas and information that you know, I almost feel this is like kind of an essential subject that everybody should be taught in school about film and video, to give them the opportunity to learn this visual medium and really experience the power and the influence of it. And you know, you mentioned that kind of raw film that, you know, we see that these days on social media, that, you know, the rawness and the realness of film. It could be just like a photojournalist out at a war scene, or maybe it's a little a riot or something, but that goes viral and it can change. You know, it's amazing what just some key footage, right place, right time can do for a movement or you know, an idea type of thing.
You know, and I want to say these words too, that it's media literacy. So if in school you get to figure out how to make a film, even if it's a silly little film about da 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 da, what you've done is you've looked beyond the image and you've kind of gone behind the scene, and you know how it works, which means you also know maybe how to defend yourself from some media that you don't want to have, like invading your brain space, or, you know, just how to critique and analyze the bombardment of information that comes our way. It's really an important skill, and it's growing in importance.
Great. Well, with that, we're just about at time. And thanks for coming on, Cheryl. I feel like we were much better prepared this time with Erika to get your full story and all these great concepts. And like I said, we would love to have you back at some point to dive in. Maybe we can go to coffee sometime and scope out our next segment once we learn a little bit more about your film, and then reconnect about some of these other topics.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Awesome. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Dave, Erika, and Cheryl signing off for the Ripple Effect.